Good evening, everybody. Another Tuesday night with Abnormal Alabama, and there's Kevin Kane right next to me. And down there below us is a couple that I ran across that I think is going to give us some fascinating stories. They are, my understanding is this is Don and Celeste. They call themselves Team Peak, and they're into cryptids and Bigfoot. And I think I even saw mention Dogman. Um, and then what really got my attention was a recent thing that happened to you guys out in the woods somewhere. And that's, so I don't know if you're going to go back there again or not. But Don, why don't you go ahead and give us a little bit about your background, and then introduce your lovely lady next to you there, and then we'll get into the stories.
Okay, my background is I'm an outdoorsman. I'm a wilderness survival instructor, wilderness guide, 3-time Kentucky Master Angler Award recipient, over 200 Trophy and Angler Achievement Awards. I've been in Outdoor Life magazine, the Trophy Fish Award magazine, the Trophy magazine issues. I've been featured in the Courier Journal, Louisville, Kentucky, North American Fishing Magazine, things like that. I've been part of the Zippo field staff, Berkeley, Select Angler, and what have you. I've been all part of that. And 19 years ago, in July, I was fishing a mountain stream in southeastern Kentucky, and for smallmouth bass. And I ran into 3 Bigfoot. And I had never seen Bigfoot before, never had any interest in Bigfoot whatsoever. I was one of these guys that if you've seen something on TV, I'd turn it to another channel, you know what I'm saying? And
you had no interest in it whatsoever.
No interest in it whatsoever. Thought it was a bunch of crap. And but anyway, after that, it changed my whole life. And so I tried to get some answers from the Bigfoot, what do you call it? The establishment. And they were no help at all because they had no idea anyway what Bigfoot was about. And I got stupid statements like, well, Don, you seen a tree stump. Don, you seen 3 giant naked hippies. All kinds of stupid things, and from people that were supposed to know a little bit about something, because these people were they were writing all the books, making all the DVDs and the videos, and things like that. And so you would think people that were writing the books and doing the flea markets, the conferences and things like that they would know what they were talking about. Because, I couldn't write a book about fishing if I didn't know how to fish. You see what I'm saying? Or have a show on TV about fishing if I didn't know how to fish. Okay? So it became pretty clear that they were no help at all. So I started my own group. And just a few months later, the same year. And then we went on from there. And we found out that probably about 80 to 90% of everything I had over 38 Bigfoot books. Found out that about 80 to 90% of everything that was in the books was wrong. And so we just figured we had to go fly by the seat of our pants and go on with it. But that's about where it led, and to where we are now. And but I'll let Celeste tell you about herself and how we got involved in the Bigfoot world together and what have you. So, Celeste.
Well, I never read the books.
So you were interested, involved without listening.
My family will tell you that ever since I was a child, I was kind of obsessed with Bigfoot.
Okay.
I have a vague memory. I grew up in a family that hunted, and we were always out in the woods or whatnot. And I have a vague memory of something. As a child, I remember seeing that. Just kind of like made me wonder, what it was, and always looked for answers. And just kind of, I went on to raise children and whatnot, and always whenever I was in the woods, I looked for things that were out of the ordinary, um, and looked for answers behind them. Because when you see a structure for the first time, if people don't know what it is, it's pretty um, fascinating. And also how something, this large structure, just how did it come to be in the middle of the woods when nobody's there. And you're just walking through the woods and you see this large structure. So that things like that. I can remember one time my dad, we were always hiking through the woods, and we always had this one trail, and on this trail up in a tree probably about 8 or 9 feet up was a set of antlers, deer antlers. Had never been there before. No one there to put them in the tree. And yet that's where they were, about 8 feet up, because he had to use the butt of his gun to get them off the tree branch.
Wow.
So things like that stick out in your mind as a child, and then you start seeing things for yourself when you go out in the woods, tracks, tree breaks, structures, whatnot. And you just kind of start putting pieces together in your mind. But I was never one to read the books or look for answers. I looked for answers myself, not from
So
other
how did
people.
you run across Don? What brought you two together?
Well, actually, it was a Facebook post that he had made. Basically, it was, because I didn't agree with a lot of things people were saying about them. At one point, people were saying that they were herbivores. I'm like, that made no sense to me, because they're a large beast, and we now know that they're like bear, berry animals. People say that a large animal can't be sustained in these wooded areas, and it's like, that's not true, because you have bear there. So that's a misnomer. And also, a lot of people think it's some unidentified ape. Well, that's not the tracks that I've been finding. They do not look like ape tracks. It's very intelligent in the way it thinks, the way it can camouflage itself, the way it moves through the woods. It was almost like indigenous people, the way it can move through the woods and hide itself. I mean, we were out on a trail overlooking a deep gully, and there was a stump next to a tree. And I kept watching the stump because it looked, I don't know, something about it just looked off. And ever so slightly, I could see the head move to look towards me. But it looked like a stump.
It was out in the open, in the woods. I mean,
but it was down a ravine, so we couldn't get to it. And so I asked Don, I said, look at that stump. I said, I swear it moved. I swear it moved. And he listens to me when I say things like that. And he took a picture of the stump. Okay. So we go back about 3 weeks later. Well, the stump is gone.
The stump removal company had arrived.
Yeah. In the middle of the woods, down a ravine,
For no apparent reason, they went out in the woods and removed the stump. Okay.
But it was just ever so slightly. It sat so still, and it just swiveled its head just enough that I noticed it.
I would think, given both of your backgrounds, you probably could distinguish between a tree stump and an animal.
I think so.
Yeah, a little bit. So I've been out in the woods for decades.
So Facebook is an amazing thing. It has built relationships and destroyed relationships. So fortunately, it built a good relationship between you guys.
Well, we I think we're the spear point. I have an organization called the Don Peak Wilderness Adventure Team. Okay.
Uh-huh.
But I think her and I has been like a spear point for the team. I mean, we what we do is we research an area very thoroughly, and an area that we think has promise, and then we'll go ahead and check it out. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it don't. But I mean, but we have found some incredible, and we've taken some incredible pictures.
I grabbed a few of your pictures, a couple of them.
Yeah.
That you had on your Facebook page. By the way, this is Catherine Marie that just joined us. She's part of our abnormal team.
Hello.
Hi.
How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Doing great.
So y'all travel a lot. You're not restricting yourself to one area. It seems like you've been all over the map doing this, and this is your number one thing right now. In other words, y'all are very focused on this right now.
Yeah, I retired several years ago, about 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I put a lot of time and effort in it anyway, and fortunately, I had a job that I could do things like that, and a career, and what have you. And then since I've retired, then Celeste and I have traveled here and there, and of course, a lot of people want to know where we go, and we don't tell them where we go, and because we put a lot of time and effort in this. We don't, I mean, we might say what state we're in or something like that, or we may even say what national park we're in, but I'm not going to give the longitude, latitude of where we're at. These people are going to have to do their own research.
Well, and also you get a lot of people who don't care about the environment, don't care about the animals, who think that they are Bigfoot researchers and just rush out there willy-nilly, and I mean, we were staying someplace that we've had a lot of activity. Somebody in the middle of the night was driving their truck really loudly and screaming from the top of their lungs, like trying to do Bigfoot calls from their truck as they were driving down the road. And it's just like, what is that going to do?
Yeah.
What is that going to do for research? Nothing.
We don't tree knock. We don't yell and scream or nothing like that. When we go into an area, we go in just like we're backpacking or camping or whatever. And we talk in a normal voice. We don't run around the dark with flashlights on and all this kind of crazy crap.
Look, we've had enough things happen to us in the daylight. We don't need to be doing that in the dark.
Yeah, right. We've had some wild. I'm talking some wild things happen to us.
I've often said the same thing about ghost hunting and paranormal. They always have to turn the lights out, and all that stuff. It's like I don't think that spirits are concerned about light or dark.
They're not. They're not.
And I mean, if you're looking for Bigfoot at night, you're just making it easier for him to hide.
Yeah.
Look, it's like, I always compare it to fishing. Okay. If you're fishing a dead area, a dead location of water, I don't care what kind of lure or bait that you've got. Okay. It ain't going to happen for you. Right. These people, if you're looking for a trophy buck or whatever you're hunting or looking for, if it's not there, if you're not in a location or an area where they're at, it ain't going to happen for you. These people are looking for a lot of Bigfoot behind the neighborhood campground. I mean, come on. I mean, I've seen ridiculous stuff on Facebook and different things where people are like, oh yeah, the whole family of Bigfoot are living right behind the concession stand in the campground. I mean, come on. I mean, we all know that a Bigfoot could be anywhere. Okay.
Would you suggest
That's right.
Would you suggest then that maybe Bigfoot's smarter than most humans?
Yes.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Especially in the way it avoids humans and evades them.
They don't
Oh,
why
avoid us, do they?
No,
That's why
well,
I
so
said
they don't.
you guys
But
do a lot of research to find the area you're going to focus on. And so you're doing a preliminary search like the Secret Service does before the president comes in town.
that's very much how we do it. Is we will, if he will research an area, and if he puts me in the right spot, we will find the evidence.
We complement each other.
And if
Okay.
there's no evidence to be found, there's no evidence to be found. We
Yeah.
don't make it up. We don't make something be evidence if it's not.
So
You know,
when you find the evidence and you find your location, do I understand correctly that you have other members of your team that go out with you to investigate from there, or is it just the two of you?
What they'll do maybe later on is they'll follow up. It takes a lot of time, effort, and money
Yeah.
to do what we do. And, we don't believe in wasting any of the three. Okay. So if we don't find anything, there's no sense in having other people check it out.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
So
it's just really like you'll watch a lot of these Bigfoot shows, and we always enjoy, where they, they're whispering at night, but they got the floodlights on and they're out there, with the blowhorn, and they're out there yelling about this and that and screaming and tree knocking and all this. But,
Yeah.
they're worried about their voices, though.
yeah.
And it's just, and of course, these experts, and believe me, they'll tell you about how much of an expert they are because they're advertised all the time, right?
I'll be right back.
Okay.
You're so
Don, you know what an expert is?
What?
An X is a has been and a spurt to drip under pressure.
Well, I always thought that was crazy when they're doing the screaming and whistling and all that. And I've always thought to myself, I would think common sense, like any other, I don't know if it's an animal, but like any other animal, you go out there either screaming and carrying on like that. Two things are going to happen. It's going to go away and get away from you, or it's going to get pissed off and want to defend its territory. So I just felt like if I was going to do something like that, I'd be a little more respectful like y'all are and a little more quiet going about trying to see what I can find out there on Bigfoot.
Right.
Without giving up a location, and then we'll get into some of your stories in a little bit, but I'm very curious as to, do you get on the computer? Do you use Google Maps? Do you look for stories? How do you identify? It's like, okay, you're in Louisville. How would you find, say, something, say in the Talladega Forest? What would you look for? How would you identify that spot? Starting from scratch.
Well, you want to look for, obviously, they need cover, they need a water source, they need food source. So if you have plenty of prey animals and whatnot, or people talk, if you've heard someone say, oh, we saw something strange or something, you'd be surprised how many people are talking about it. And it's like, a lot of times he wasn't with me, and I would just go check out a location. I would just drive through it, just to drive through and see what I can see. And, and I'll come back to him and say, yeah, or I'll take a trail. Like there was one time I took a trail and I knew something was following me. I couldn't see it. It was keeping itself well hidden. So I had my camera up over my head to film what was behind me. And as I got down the trail, I realized the trail kind of goes downhill. Well, I could hear something following me and I didn't want to be downhill from it. So I turned around to come back up the trail, and whatever it was booked down the side of the hill, like barreled through the trees. And I was like, I think this is a really good location we need to check out. And we have had every time we go back to this location, so this is where the tree stump was. as a matter of fact.
Okay.
So-
The removed tree
Yeah.
stump.
They got rid of the tree, tree stump. So, but we've had every time we go back there, there's an experience that we've had.
So you know
Evidence.
when you go there, you're gonna be
Right.
something's gonna
initially-
let you know.
Yeah, initially one of us will go in, like he's gone into an area, and he'll actually set up the camp before I get there, and he'll be like, "There's a lot of activity here. There's a lot of prints. There's, and then I get there and it just all breaks loose."
So you through people just talking in a community, or maybe a newspaper article will post something locally about somebody says they saw Bigfoot somewhere. I take it you don't give a lot of credence to the Bigfoot groups out there. You're not
No.
looking for what they're saying. So you're
No.
looking for just general people in the community talking.
Well, and we've actually had forest rangers
Okay, good.
tell
Good.
us.
Yeah.
And we even had a woman who worked for the forestry lean into us and say, "Let us know if you find anything out of the ordinary."
I got you. So I'm
So-
sure that you guys probably are well respected by forest rangers and whatnot, because number one, you're respectful to the environment,
Right.
and from what I've gathered, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't see that you're trying to create a YouTube channel with 1 million followers and have a Patreon account and raise a lot of money to do this.
We don't sell anything.
So you're not trying to turn yourselves into celebrities over there.
No.
No, they make me sick.
Yeah.
You know,
So all
celebrity
those
enough.
things added together, to me, would give you a lot of respect with the authorities. Let me say,
Well, we have some rapport with several forest rangers. So that what they do is they give us intel because they know we're the real deal, and we give them intel back. And what really gets me is you see on TV the experts, and they'll say, "Well, is this a Bigfoot track? Is this a Bigfoot structure?" Well, don't they know? They're experts, right? So I mean, it's just the whole thing is just it's a money making scam.
Travel Channel is not going to pay you if you're boring.
Well, we've never been boring, but we don't need the travel
But
channel.
they're always going to build it up. It's like any of the ghost hunting and all that. It's over the top stuff. And the reality, from my experience and anything I've done in paranormal, if you will, most of your time is pretty boring. It's like being a detective, and you do a lot of sitting and waiting,
Right.
listening and watching, and then when you get something, it's a pretty profound thing. But you got to be very patient, and you can't be knocking on trees and yelling and screaming and blowing horns. I saw
You know
one on
what?
TV.
The Bigfoot are going to knock anyway. I mean, like if you're in a Bigfoot area, a Bigfoot location, Bigfoot are going to knock on trees. That's what they do. I mean, you don't have to do that. I mean, it's just
If they're there, they'll let you know.
yeah, they'll let you know.
So when you identify this area, one of you has heard a story, and you go into an area and you think, oh, there's plenty of life here. There's plenty of coverage. There's water. Everything about the terrain is exactly what some big cryptid would need to survive.
Right.
And then you say, well, we're going to go back there. We're going to pitch a tent and spend a couple of days, I guess, and see what happens.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So-
Several days and nights.
And we do it
So-
in the winter.
We do it all 12 months a year. Don't we?
Well, that's the winter's my favorite time to go camping. People think I'm crazy, but I've camped in 27-degree weather where trying to fold your tent up the next morning, it was crispy,
Yeah.
But I can't sleep in the heat very well.
Right. We've been out there. Temperatures plummet down, but in single digits at night. The highs 25, 26 degrees. You want to tell them what happened this past January?
Well, he picked a location, and I met him out there, and it was about that much of,
Snow.
snow or ice on the ground. And so it was pretty cold, and you know, we were prepared, but they were very active. And it was just, I didn't expect them to be that active when it was that cold. But what they did is, it was primitive camping. So kind of in visual of our campsite, we were the only campers in this area. We were the only ones either dumb enough or whatever to set up a tent, you know. And well, actually, let me back up. The first morning we woke up, I said to Don, I said, look at all the sticks stuck in the ground.
Yeah.
There's just all around our tent area, there was probably a dozen sticks stuck in the ground.
Yeah.
And the sticks were not there when you pitched tent?
No.
Exactly. And as we were there, how many nights?
3 nights.
3 nights.
3 days and nights. Yeah.
The sticks increased every night. But what they were using is, this is a kind of a high air traffic area.
Mhm.
So what they would use, because I just listened so intently, is when an aircraft would come over the area, that's when they moved. Because you couldn't
So
hear.
they were concealing themselves from
Yes.
anything flying.
Yes. That's when you heard the most howls and the most movement, is when this when the air traffic would increase.
Right.
And when it would decrease, they didn't move. So the last day, we noticed that behind the tent, and then I don't know how far in front of the tent it was.
Maybe, I'd say about maybe 20 yards, maybe. Yeah.
They made beds out of pine boughs. Now in these two,
And this was close enough to where you're primitive camping.
Mhm.
yes,
You and if I understand your guys' process, you have already scoped out this area, so you know what was there and what was not there. Anything that changed, you're going to be very aware of it.
right. And we always check out, when we set up a tent, we always check out the surrounding area, because they will do that. I mean, we can just go on, but this particular time was the sticks stuck in the ground, and it ended up being a perimeter around our tent when they stuck the sticks in the ground. It was almost like a perimeter that you don't cross.
Were they trying? Do you think they were trying to tell you guys don't come out of your tent? What was the purpose? Would you surmise?
Well, it was almost like a barrier, and what made me think even more so that it was a barrier is when they made the beds. There was one behind us and one in front of us. And the one that was in front of us, there was a porta potty, and one of the sticks was stuck in the ground between the bedding they put down and the porta potty, and it was a pretty significant stick. And the thing about this bedding, where they placed it, there was no pines. They brought these
So they
pine
had to
boughs.
bring in.
Yes, so they didn't have to sit their butts on the cold ground, because in the one bedding by the porta potty, you could literally see a butt mark
And it's track.
and its tracks.
And they also behind us, behind
Yeah,
the tent.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
So when you guys are doing this, I'm gathering that you guys are sitting back and just listening and watching. You're not banging on trees. You're not going hoop, hoop, hoop and all that stuff. You're just chill.
No.
You're just very relaxed and very chill and just waiting.
Yes. And that's how we discovered they were using, well, there was one long, mournful, really long howl. And I was like, and it kept going on and on and on. And I looked at him, I said, what is that? And he goes, well, that's a Bigfoot. But it sounded almost like a song. It was very long. And I paid attention to the timbre of it and the sound of it. So I kept hearing it get closer and closer. Like I said, when the planes would go over, I could hear it like in the background. And so I'm like, it's getting closer. And I kept telling him, I said, it's coming closer.
Yeah.
It's moving in on us.
So did you hear it, Don?
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, it was just it's pretty incredible. I mean, it just we have had Bigfoot come into our camp. We've had them unzip a food tent and get food out of the tent.
Okay.
And we've had, oh my gosh, just all, you name it. I got
Well, this last time they took his cookies.
yeah, she made some peanut butter cookies and
So we do have a genuine cookie monster in the woods.
Yes, that's what I said. And they didn't even, we had the tent rolled down, so you had the screens open. It didn't even wait for him to get settled in the tent, because I was already asleep, and he woke me up when he came in the tent, and he said something's growling in the woods. And so he felt uncomfortable, so he left the thing of cookies out there and came into the tent. He wasn't even settled in yet, and you just see this blur.
They're fast.
Come through, knock the cooler, grab something, and run off into the woods. And we're both standing there like, did that just happen? And he's like, whatever that shadow was huge.
They're fast.
And it came in like a, I don't know, like a linebacker. It knew what it wanted. It came in, took the plastic tin of.
I guess it smelled the cookies that I was eating by campfire. And I mean, just as soon as I got in the tent and was zipping it up, I mean, it was like, boom, you know.
Wow.
And it
wanted those cookies.
It wanted the cookies, yeah. I mean,
why do you think that you guys are so successful in having these kind of contacts with Bigfoot when there are thousands and thousands of other people out there tromping through the woods and trying to find Bigfoot? And not all these people, to be fair, I know some of them. There's some that are as respectful as you guys are. Okay.
Right.
You know, they may not, most of them I know have regular jobs. They're not old enough to retire, so they're not into it as heavy as you are. But then you've got a lot of flakes. There's no doubt about that. There's I call them divas. You know, they back in 2019, the first part of, I did a Bigfoot paranormal convention in Alabama. And that was a wake up call to me as to what kind of people you could and some of them are great. Kevin and I met there, and Kevin's been a very solid individual. But Kevin will tell you, he's worked with a lot of people, ghost hunting and whatnot. And there's a lot of people. There's a lot of envy, jealous, strife, and all that stuff. And so you got to be careful. But you guys seem to be just super successful about identifying these places. And Bigfoot doesn't seem to be running from you and hiding from you as diligently as it is other people.
Okay, one of the things that I learned early on, 19 years ago, was that Bigfoot wasn't nearly as rare as people were led to believe in all the documentaries and the books and all this other business. They said for years that there's probably no more than maybe 300 Bigfoot on the whole North American continent. They're very, very rare and all this. And what I was finding out was that, my God, Bigfoot, they're far from rare. They really are. And I mean, so I remember a few years ago, I made a statement on Facebook saying that my personal belief, I believe that there's at least 50,000 Bigfoot on the North American continent, maybe more, maybe many more. People, they watch too much TV.
No kidding.
We hardly ever watch TV, do we?
No, I don't watch the Bigfoot shows.
Yeah, she don't even watch the Bigfoot shows. We stay away from
Not anymore.
TV. Stay away from all that crap. They don't put anything on. Do you think they're going to tell you anything on TV? I mean, it's like the news,
Absolutely, it's for profit. If they can't bring in the advertising dollars, and it's got to be exciting, it's got it's entertainment, 100%.
Well, and what makes us different is, we go out there to enjoy ourselves. We
have a ball.
You were nature people before Bigfoot came into your life,
and I think they recognize that. you know, I think they can kind of tell who's genuine and who's not. I mean, these are smart, intelligent beings because they have protected themselves, protected their, for lack of better words, tribes, you know, as a family would protect one another.
So
We found, I mean, we have found baby tracks with big tracks, and
right.
we have found the bedding areas. You know, like we found a bedding area in this place where we were camping in the winter, and he wanted to take a picture with me in the bedding area, and I said I don't want to do that because I don't want someone coming into my bedroom and tromping through and taking pictures. So we kind of went around and walked around it and respected the area.
Well, if it had been a big male Bigfoot, he might not have minded a female getting in his bed with him. I don't know, but I'm sorry.
Well,
but
it could
you
be
know, if Don had
pheromones,
tried it, it might have been a different story.
I always tell people that if they are in a Bigfoot tribal area, okay, I'm one of these people that believe the Bigfoot is a giant human. Okay, I've got very good close-up looks at several, but the thing is that I'm one of these people that it's like if you are in a Bigfoot tribal area, okay, there's going to be no doubt in your mind. Okay, you're going to find Bigfoot tracks everywhere. You're going to find structures, and we photograph them. You're going to find them everywhere. Okay, these people, you know, like they might find us. As a matter of fact, we will not even photograph a structure if there's not a Bigfoot set of Bigfoot tracks or track line anywhere near the area. Okay, we just don't. And it's just
one thing we've been finding recently, which is kind of disturbing in the different locations we've been in where we have found structures, we've gone back to check on the structures and they've been destroyed. So my worry is that they've destroyed them after we've been there or after humans have been there. I mean, we have photos from a few years ago, and then this year it's completely destroyed. Two of them in two different locales. And
so not just like they fell apart. You can tell
they were destroyed. We don't know if it was humans. We don't know if the Bigfoots have done it. We really honestly couldn't tell from the evidence there to say it was one or the other. But it was really kind of heart-wrenching to see that, because one of them was a dome shape and it was so intricately woven with those vines that, you know, I couldn't even wrap my hand around.
And so when you find one of those structures, you're saying that you don't photograph it unless you find tracks in the vicinity as well.
We have got to find other collaborating. I think a lot of problems with a lot of things you see on the internet is everything out there that people see is a structure.
Right.
Okay. And I mean, if people want to do that, that's fine. Like, we don't hang around other groups. We don't do our research with other people or other groups. We just don't. And we don't go to the conferences or none of that stuff. And we stay as far away from most of these people in the Bigfoot world as we can. And it works for us that way. Okay, because we're not selling anything. We're not selling any toys. We're not selling any jewelry or clothing or anything.
You're sincerely trying to learn about whatever Bigfoot is.
Right. Yeah. And we document it as best we can. We've tried using trail cams. We've been through.
Good luck on that.
We put brand new batteries in, and they die. These batteries, these trail cams. Yeah, these trail cams you're supposed to be able to put out, and they last a year.
Yeah.
We can't even get them to last 2 hours.
Yeah, ask Kevin about that with ghost hunting. If it's a genuine haunting, that's very common. Cameras will go dead, you charge them, and all that.
Well,
yeah, that's true. They like to suck the energy out of batteries and such. Mess with electronics.
we don't even, I mean, we went into an area, we had a GoPro. We went into an area. It was just also a old Civil War battlefield.
Mm-hmm.
We went into an, see, I don't do the paranormal, but it comes and finds us, as you've seen on the story. It just kind of finds us.
I like
Yeah.
the paranormal.
You like the
I'm
paranormal?
Bigfoot. He does the paranormal.
Okay.
But we went into this area because we found this tree woven between a double stump tree. You know, a tree grows up one stump and you got two trees growing on one stump. So it was woven in there, and I'm like, look at this over here. So we walked through the woods to go document it, and the batteries died completely. Nothing. We walk out of the area, the batteries start working.
Oh man, that's wild. So it's like a dead zone.
It was, yeah.
The closest thing that we've got to a Bigfoot picture on a trail cam, we got the top.
We got
two pictures of the top of the head of a Bigfoot, and that was it. And then the batteries died. The other day we was at a great Bigfoot location, and the only thing that was on the trail cam was huge flashes, and then the batteries died. Now these are like Duracell batteries, man. I mean, brand new.
And now this is one that followed me home.
The hitchhike.
That's your hitchhiker Bigfoot.
Yeah, that one followed me home.
Okay.
I believe it's a Dogman.
He thinks it's a Dogman.
How big would you say this creature is we're looking at here?
About what, 7 feet?
Yeah, it was about 7.
Really?
Because I let my dog out. And
this was near this is near where you live.
Yes,
Right.
it's my backyard.
Oh wow. Okay.
I called Don and I took the picture, but it took me a week to look at the picture
Really?
because I didn't like the fact that they were in my backyard. But if you
you're looking for them. You're out there looking for them.
I know they found
Not in the backyard.
they came home and knocked on my door. I know. Over
So
here.
it's like it's like a ghost hunter. You want to go find the ghost, but you don't want them home with you.
The hitchhikers, and that's happened to me, by the way.
Okay.
That's his paranormal story.
I've actually had a ghost of a young child actually come home with me from a cemetery, and
right. We got to hear this because that's what Kevin's really big into right there.
right.
I've had that too.
Yeah, and anyway, after a couple of weeks, my son and I went ahead, and I just said, look, I was talking basically into the house, and said, look, you really don't belong here. I said, you have to go back to where you came from, and why would I take you back? And we went ahead and we drove back to that cemetery, and I guess it went ahead and went back. So I never did hear or see anything again from that individual. But the thing is that anytime I leave a cemetery now, I always say, look, you have to stay here. Can't be with us. And it was a little boy that was wearing these old derby derby and the knickers and all that sort of thing. And but that happens, and it's just unless you went through it, you have no idea. And it's troubling.
Yeah, we have evolved as humans into such a culture that this urban life to where we don't even look at the sky hardly anymore, and we are focused tunnel vision to get down the interstate or the road, to get to work, to get to here, to get to there. We don't pay a lot of attention to our environment anymore, and
this too,
yeah,
that distracts a lot.
Well, we have learned after our last experience to well, I have learned that I need to be prepared for any eventuality because of what happened to us in this last experience. That just kind of rocked my world.
Now we're going to get. I think we're talking about the same story,
Yeah.
and I want to get to that because that is. I'm interested in not only hearing the story from you guys, but also where it led you to in your thinking about Bigfoot and the entire thing. What would that, if it changed anything for you or gave you any other impressions? But since you both did independent research long before you even got together. And then you hooked up, you met, you had conversations, and I'm sure it's like, okay, we might as well team up and we're going to be partners. And this is now you got somebody to share this with on a personal level.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's got to make it even better for you, I would think.
It definitely has for me because I can run stuff by him. You know, like the tree stump is a perfect example because it looked like a tree stump. And he even said it was a tree stump, but because I said something's off about it because I could have sworn it looked at me, he took a picture of it. You know, so
you were there when this tree stump incident happened, Don.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but you're both gazing at it, and she's questioning it, and you're just kind of saying it's a tree stump.
Well, I look, and so you got to remember we're at a distance.
Yeah.
And the thing is that, you know, a lot of times a Bigfoot could be right. It's like a guy in a ghillie suit almost. And, you know, and if they stay perfectly still, I mean, you know, you can look at them and look at them a lot of times and may not even see them.
Yeah.
And, yeah, so I took a picture of it. Boy, I blew it up and you could actually see the head, the eye,
yeah,
brow, we call it the
brow,
the chin, and when we went back the tree stump that we thought was a tree. Well, I thought was a tree stump. She was right as usual, but
I'm not going to ask. I'm not going to ask you how old you are, Don, but you look old enough to have learned not to argue with a woman.
Well, I'm not going to argue with this one.
Okay.
Believe me, I lose. But see, like we compliment each other when we're investigating things because she, you know, I've kind of scanned things. You know, I used to be a security contractor and for years and years, and I've learned to, you know, scan from the horizon and come forward with it, scan. She looks for details, intimate details of things that I probably will overlook a lot of times.
Mm-hmm.
And so it, or maybe I see something from a distance, but I mean, it would, like I say, so we kind of complement each other like that, you see, and so it works out. It works out very, very good.
Good team.
Yeah.
Good team. Yeah. So I'm sorry.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to ask. You told you told a couple of stories, and the one with the snow and sticks and the bedding and all that stuff. Let me start with you, Don. In your career, even before you met Celeste, what's the most profound experience that's burned into your memory banks?
Oh my gosh.
You've had a lot of them, I'm sure.
Yeah, you know, going back, oh my gosh, I guess, you know, for years being an outdoorsman, I would run into things that sometimes with my son or my grandson or both of them, I would run into things and be like a big structure, and we would just kind of look and just scratch our heads like, who in the world would build something like this? Well, the area where I first seen the three Bigfoot, was one of those areas where, you know, for several years I had seen things but didn't put two and two together because I didn't believe in a Bigfoot, anything like that. Okay. And it was you know, it was like 1 o'clock on a July afternoon, beautiful day. The humidity was down, and I decided to walk downstream to see if I could find, deeper pools, maybe catch a little bit bigger fish. And I was just wading downstream. Now, on both sides of this stream, there was no trails. Okay. So I get down there and I caught a limit of fish and I was getting ready to head back. And all of a sudden, man, big stone hit the water. Another one hit the water. Another one hit the water. So I looked up and here's another one catapulting towards me. And I'm looking towards where it's coming from. And there's these three huge silhouettes. Two are inside the tree line and one standing outside the tree line. And I'm like, my God, what is that? I mean, I'm looking at something that's at least 8 foot tall, weighing hundreds of pounds, even with, it's covered with hair over probably 95% of his body is, I mean, just incredibly massive, symmetrical, and muscular. And being a former competitive bodybuilder, and everything, I used to own a gym, I mean, my God, this thing was just incredible, and I thought, well, could that be what a Bigfoot is? And so, I mean, that's what got it for me. But throughout the years, I found all kinds of structures and tracks and heard the Bigfoot and just different. One time, me and a couple of members of my team was in this one area, and right out of nowhere, these two Bigfoot come out in this field. They didn't see us. We were up in the woods, and there was this field about the size of maybe a backyard. And but I guess that when they did see us pretty quick, and then they just stepped back into the trees. But I mean, just different things like that you noticed throughout the years.
So how many years again has that been?
That was 19 years ago this month.
Okay. So in your 19 years, do you have a number of actual sightings? Can you say, well, I've seen Bigfoot 12 times, or?
I've gotten glimpses of them, maybe I'd say throughout those years, maybe 8, 9 times.
Okay.
Glimpses.
So Celeste, on your side, what would be the most profound sighting you've had of Bigfoot, or an indication there's a Bigfoot, besides the snowstorm?
Well, I'd have to go way back to when I was a teenager, because I grew up in New York, very rural. Most of New York looks like Tennessee, Alabama, very rural, and people don't realize that.
They think of New York City when they think of New York. Yeah.
Right, and most of it is very rural, very rural.
Yeah.
Very wooded. You have state land. You have state parks. So this particular time was at a series of man-made lakes, and I was walking across my uncle's property. Very nobody's back there. There's a road that goes to a lake, and I was with my dog, and I'd done this, I don't know, hundreds of times. Walk from one lake through the woods to the other lake, across my uncle's property. Never. I had a big Irish setter, and I'm walking down the wooded road, and just like something hits me in the leg, and I look and there's a stick, and I'm like, what is that? So I'm like, stick just hit me in the leg, and he gets all alert, and he starts looking in the woods, and he doesn't bark, he doesn't whimper, he doesn't growl, he just backs into me. He literally backs into me to push me back. And I was like, what's going on? And I didn't see anything. And I looked and I scanned. You know, my dad was a hunter. My uncles and cousins all hunted. You know, you were taught from an early age, you know, to be aware of your surroundings. And he just pushed me back and pushed me back. And he wasn't going to go any further. And I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to listen to you. And we're going to go. Because, you know, you get that feeling that comes over you.
Was it a German Shepherd?
Yeah, well, no, this was an Irish Shepherd. I have a
Okay.
German Shepherd now. Ari, my German Shepherd now, is the one that found like 2 structures for us.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. My experience is I love shepherds. They are a good dog, and they are
Yeah, this was an Irish Setter.
Yeah.
He was, yeah, and as he pushed me back, more sticks started like whizzing, you know, past
So
my head.
Don got the rocks thrown at him, and you're getting sticks thrown at you.
Yeah,
Well, we've had sticks thrown at both of us and Yari.
yeah.
Okay.
Ari, I don't bring Ari anymore because he's had rocks thrown at him, and it's almost like he can anticipate them.
He knows they're coming.
He'll
Okay.
back up or he'll jump back, and the rock will hit like right where he was.
Uh-huh.
So he knows they're out there too. You know, and like I said, he found 2 of the structures that we found in a habitat, and I mean, he led me right to them.
Wow.
And it was, and one of them was like through the woods, and I said to Don, I said, that looks like a structure through there, and he goes, no, that's just a downed tree. And I said, I don't know, Ari wants to go check it out. And sure enough, it was a structure.
Wow.
You know, and it had I mean, there were prints and all kinds of evidence around it. But you know, I've learned to listen to the animals. And if everything, and you know this, and most people who've been out in the woods know this, that if everything goes quiet, there's
Something's
a predator.
wrong. Something's wrong. Yeah.
You need to leave.
Yeah. Something's not right. Yeah. Too
And-
quiet. No crickets. No birds. It's
Yeah. And you know, as far as sightings, like I said, I've had one when I was a child, and then there was glimpses of, you know, just them running behind trees, or like I said, the one that followed me home. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I knew something was out there because the terrain was different. The visual I had of looking out had changed. So I took the picture, called the dog back in, and I called Don, and he's like, well, send me the picture. I said, I don't want to look at it. I'll send you the picture. You look at it, but I don't want to look at it. And sure enough, you can see the arm so clearly. You know, you can see it so clearly.
Now we are moving right into the end of the first hour, and I want to really start digging into this phenomenal happening, is what I'll call it. The post you made on this was recent, July 12th. I don't know when the event happened, but that's when you made this post on Facebook. And it you refer to it as a rift, ? A portal, dimensional shift, shook me to the core. I did get nauseated and a sharp pain in my head right before the incident. I'm assuming you're saying that. And then your son found graffiti written in different ways, was one word, and that one word was alone. Am I reading that correctly?
Correct.
So that's paranormal, Celeste. I don't care how you paint it.
Yeah.
It
Now-
seems to find me.
So I want you to tell us that story in detail, because there's a lot of reference made to an event, but I didn't tell what the event was. But then after we hear the story, I want to know if that, because there's been a lot of speculation, or some speculation, that Bigfoot could be some kind of an alien, or could be in a dimensional shift and that sort of thing. So tell us the story, and then we'll get into that conversation.
Okay. So Don had abdominal surgery. My son wanted to go with us on a trip. You know, he kind of is into the oddities of different things happening, and he's been my sons have been around, and weird things have happened when they've been around me and whatnot. And he kind of wanted to.
She's a magnet.
He kind of
Well,
wanted to.
she got you, didn't she?
Well, the thing is, if she says something isn't right on a swivel, because I'm used to her by now. Let me tell you.
She got you. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So he wanted to kind of do the, he's a teenager, the urban thing of abandoned buildings. Well, I didn't want him to do that on his own, his first time doing it by himself. And so we knew from researching Bigfoot habitat where we could find an abandoned building. And I thought, you go with me. I feel better if you went with me versus going with anyone else.
Right.
So Don stays at the car. Well, Don can tell you his part, and I'll tell you from my part. My son and I.
You're different places is when this happened. Okay.
My son and I enter the building. We walk around. We look, we examine. We haven't posted this picture yet, but there's stairs going down, and I snapped a picture. And then we kind of went to the back of the building. I said, he hollered in, and I said, we're on our way out. And so as we came back around, we saw these other stairs. And I said to my son, we're not going downstairs. We're not doing that. And then he said, I heard something over here. So he kind of went back to where this hallway was that went off into rooms. And I said, stop. I said, I feel queasy and my head hurts. He was okay. He goes, well, like I said, he's my son. He's been around me long enough. He goes, that means we need to go. And I said, yeah. I said, Don's been waiting on us because it's been a couple minutes since he hollered in. So we leave.
She gets upset over this. I do too.
This is very profound. This is very heavy.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we exit the building. Where I left Don was no longer there. My son I went to the right side. He went as we were facing the building. He went to the left side. I went to the right side, hollering for Don. He hollered for Don. I hollered for Don. He's not at the car. He's not in the car. I turned the car on or turn the lights on and off, hit your key fob, so your alarm, come on and off, which he wouldn't have been able to get in the car anyway. Hollering for him. I called him on the phone. It automatically went to voicemail. I regrouped with my son in front of the building. I said, look, we stay together from now on. Something has happened. And I felt it in my core. And I said, we're going to go down around the building because there was kind of steps. And this is near a river. So on my worst nightmare, tried to do something, fell down, rolled down into the river. I scanned the tree line. I didn't see him. My son is scanning everything. We're both hollering for him. So we go down around the building, and that's where we see the graffiti. We go down, down around the building, still hollering his name. We come up around the building, and then Isaac, or my son, says, there's Don. I'm like, where? And he goes, he's right there. And he came down to kind of meet us.
Where I've been all off, man.
And I'm upset because I'm like, where did you go? What were you doing? I mean, I'm scared because, like I said, he had surgery. I'm terrified. I'm like, I said, I called you. I'm not happy. I'm terrified. I'm terrified.
Let me get this clear. Where he said he's been all alone, you and your son had already tracked through that area and didn't see him. Is that correct?
He would have been right in front of us as we exited the building.
So you couldn't have avoided him if
No.
this strangeness hadn't occurred.
No, there's no way he could have missed us exiting the building because he was at the front
of the building.
Yes. He never saw us exit the building. We never saw him as we exited the building.
So how much
He
time
didn't-
transpired here,
He didn't hear me holler for him.
right?
He didn't hear my son holler for him.
Right.
I didn't see him.
He didn't see the lights in the car come on and off.
Really?
None of that.
Mm-mm.
None of that. And when we went down around the building, I think, I don't know. I don't know what to think, but something changed. There was a shift. And when we came
And
back up,
you had a physical reaction right before this occurred,
yes,
as if something happened that you were unaware of that affected you physically.
yes,
Was that? I
Yes.
know I'm making a statement, but it's really a question.
yes, yes, I did. I got queasy and I kind of had a pain in my head. But and that's why I said to my son, I said, we need to go because I got, I've got a queasy feeling. I got a pain in my head. And he goes, well, that means we should leave. And it wasn't until later when we were dissecting what happened that my son said to me, do you remember you got a pain in your stomach and you got queasy and you had a pain in your head? And I was like, oh my goodness, you're right. And that must have been the moment where it happened. I don't know what brought it on. I don't know exactly what it was.
So your son was the first to see Don before you did when he reappeared. Let's say reappeared.
See, I had no idea anything was going on.
This is his version.
Now, when we got up to I was initially I was going to go in the building, but when I looked in the building, it looked like, well, I might have to stoop and step over things maybe. And I just got staples out of my abdomen,
Yeah.
And I just wasn't up to it. And so they told me they was going to go on in. I said, well, all right, I'll wait out here for y'all. So anyway, I was waiting there by the door. And I waited a few minutes. Anyway, I yelled in there and asked them if they were coming out. They said, yeah, we'll be out in a couple of minutes. Okay, so I went on up to the car, which can be seen
It's right in the view of the doorway.
Yeah, you go up these little steps and there's the car. So I went up to the car and I was waiting. Okay, never moved. I was right there. And I never seen anybody come out of the building. I never heard anybody call my name. Nobody called my phone. And
were you getting concerned yourself at this point?
Well, I was just getting ready to go back down to the door and ask because, they said they'd be out in a couple of minutes. Well, probably 8 or 9 or 10 minutes had gone by. So I thought, well, they must have found something of interest to look at. I was just getting ready to go down the steps when I heard Isaac yell for me on the other side of the building. So I thought, well, they must have found another way out and went on out there. But, I was totally unaware of any of this. I was just right up there waiting by the car. That's all I was doing.
So
and I had no idea anything was wrong. That anything
thing
was
that I'm
wrong.
very, very curious about now is, did anybody able to distinguish how much of a time lapse was there between the time that they came out of the building and the time that you resurfaced? Was there anybody looked at their watch or whatever, or
I didn't think anything was wrong at all, so I didn't look at anything. I mean,
didn't
I
have
just
any reason?
I
Celeste,
didn't.
you were upset.
Yeah, there was no way. I called his phone.
No answer.
My phone shows that I called out. His phone does not show a missed call.
So Don, you took a trip and don't even know where you went.
Hell, I don't know. I know, it was great. When they were telling me this, I thought, what?
I was mad. Okay.
She was upset.
And
Did you
then-
think he was playing with you or something, or you just the whole thing was just upsetting?
Where I was mad at is, like I said, he just had surgery and he's out farting around.
You
I
know,
wasn't able to do anything.
You
you
were
know-
concerned about him,
Right.
genuinely concerned. Yeah.
And then when we realized that something had happened, see, even before we pulled away, My son made Don get in the car to see if he could see them through the windows, because we looked in the car.
Oh, okay. Just to see, make sure Don wasn't sitting in the car when you looked for him.
Right. He wanted to. He wanted. I mean,
So you didn't just drop it. You did a little investigation at the moment, right there.
Right.
Just trying to figure it out.
But when we pulled
I assume
off,
Don's just shaking his head, saying, "What's wrong with you people?"
he thought we were messing with him.
Yeah, I thought y'all kidding around. I was right there at the car. I ain't going nowhere. And it was just.
He asked me, he goes, "Are you messing with me?" He goes, "Are you two messing with me?" And I'm like, I got even more upset. I was like, no. Where were you? Were you messing with us?
It's the weirdest thing. She and I have been through so many things over the past 4 years. This right here is the grand prize. You know,
So did this just happen a week ago or a few days ago?
a couple of weeks ago.
The day I posted the video, actually.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I don't know. The one I just read from was posted on the 12th.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, that's pretty close. Yeah, because I was so.
oh, went black screen.
Uh-oh. Thought that was just me again.
Yeah, no, that is the them.
It happens sometimes.
I can kind of hear them talking there for they come back.
Oh, they're gone. They're gone.
It happened just in the middle of talking about this strange happening. There, they both disappear.
That
And they're going to come back and say, "Where were you guys? We were here alone."
That Bigfoot done went outside and pulled the cord outside their house.
Isaiah. Well, that was the next question I was going to ask. Was this area they were in with this abandoned building one of their Bigfoot sighting areas? There's a lot of people that have made a theory about Bigfoot being an interdimensional creature, you know, that sort of thing. But they have totally went. Let me see if they're messaging out.
I've had a couple.
Let me see if I let them know just to log back in, or
I've had a couple of encounters that might have been Bigfoot. One I'm thinking was. I don't think I've ever shared that one here. I've shared one before a long time ago.
that my internet may have gone down. I don't know. I'm just looking. It don't even show they're on the internet at all.
There they are, Team Peak.
They're back.
There they are. They're coming back. It's white screen, but they're back.
They're in the twilight zone. I don't know if you guys can hear us or not, but this is very strange that this happens in the middle of this strange story. I think you stirred up something there besides Bigfoot. That's
It's just the wheel of death going around.
it is we're not gonna let you in. We're not gonna let you in. Caught up in a portal to something.
Need the Twilight Zone music while that's going on.
What is she saying there? I'm all about Bigfoot.
I'm all about some Bigfoot. We never got to the question why they had big feet anyway. I'm still wondering.
Yeah, well, this is really crazy. What's going on with them? Because a lot of times if people lose it, they're totally gone. But it's like they're caught up in a portal right now. This is really weird. In the middle of that conversation, I think Celeste is going to find out she's more into the paranormal than she thought.
The spinning circle of death, says Dream.
Yeah. I tell you what, guys, they're trying to come back.
Playful Rain said Time Warp.
Yep. That is really weird. And then we're going to come back to that circle right there.
Yeah, the circle of
I don't know if they see us, hear us, or whatever. This is really wow. Kevin, I'm going to step out. Kevin, I'm going to step out for just a moment. And it is a few minutes after 8. Go ahead and talk about your books and whatnot for a minute. And I'll be right. If they come back on, just start up the conversation about the time warp, I guess. And I'll be right back.
Okay. Well, all right, I'll go ahead and promote myhauntedDolls.com. Go out there and buy, shop. And while you're out there purchasing books, got My Haunted Collection, The Dark Side, one of the books about my haunted items. So, and that's that one. There's two of them. There's My Haunted Collection, and there's this one, My Haunted Collection, The Dark Side, about the darker item. I don't mean darker in color. I mean darker stories, items that have had demonic attachments and so forth. So be sure to check that out. I've got supernatural novels. Crimson the Blood Painting is one of them, about a haunted painting in my collection from Salem, Massachusetts. And of course, this story in this novel is fiction, but it is based on that actual painting. In fact, that's her on the cover there. And then my most recent book, Where Are You? While I'm looking, I'm just going to throw up the picture of me and Annabelle. Look at that. Ooh. Okay, where is the new book at? There it is. Dark Awakening and Other Tales for a Midnight Hour, which is a book about the, it's a book of short stories that I wrote, original short stories, supernatural and horror. So be sure to check that out too. And we're trying to get our special guests back on the Team Peak, but all we see is that wheel of death that comes
Well,
up.
we're here.
Oh, now we can
Oh,
hear
you're
it.
there, but no
Okay,
camera.
we're here. We haven't left. We're trying to get back on.
There they are.
You know what's funny? I was looking on my Facebook page, and my Bigfoot experience
You still
that I call
there?
my Bigfoot experience was exactly 5 years ago today.
Crickets chirping. Doo-doo-doo-doo. No, Twilight Zone.
Can you hear us?
The Twilight Zone.
Hello.
Can you hear me, Kevin?
I can hear you. I can hear them, but
Okay, we can hear you.
okay,
You can
good.
hear us?
Maybe we need to change the subject.
Uh-oh, well, there's
Man.
Kelsey. Ah, Kelsey, you put him back in the wheel of death. He popped on with his shiny head, stuck him right back in. Looks like Playful Rain wants me to tell my Bigfoot story.
You saw Kevin's books at the Comic-Con that you went to, Dream XD?
Yeah, I wonder, is that at a Comic-Con I went to? I wonder, is that the one here in Birmingham or? Oh, here's looks like
Comic-Con where you saw Kevin's books.
Yeah, I'd like to know where Comic-Con is. Birmingham. Oh, there they are.
They're back.
You see us.
They're back.
No, there you go. Wow. Guys, I really appreciate that story, but I'm a little bit scared of what happened to you now. You're frozen. Look at them. They're frozen in time now.
No, they're,
Well, we're right here.
Well,
Do you see us?
occasionally I see them. I see them
Hey,
movement.
you, but you're moving kind of sporadically, but we can hear you fine.
Move.
All right, yeah, y'all are weirding us out now with your story and this.
There they go back in that black hole thing.
That is crazy.
God.
Oh yeah,
We are not having technical difficulties. We're having spiritual difficulties.
yeah.
This is really, really strange.
Dream XD says, "Yeah, I talked to you guys, and yeah, it was at the BJCC." So
Should be a
that's
picture,
good.
Dream XD, so I can remember who you are.
Looks like you're trying to come back on there. Yeah, it's that interdimension thing. Don't like us talking about Bigfoot. Let's see.
Did you ever watch the movie Harry and the Hendersons as a kid, Kevin?
Yeah, we saw that when it came out. We saw it.
That was what got me interested in Bigfoot. I was like, I want a Bigfoot to come live with me.
You know, entice him in your car like John Lithgow when he was throwing McDonald's food in the back seat, and
But they don't eat me. So, okay, I got to tell you a little story. When I was 5, my parents were big into backpacking and stuff. It was my mother, my aunt, and my dad, and I went backpacking. And I had this little red backpack, and I packed a doll in it. Yeah, that tells you how much I love dolls. And I went backpacking with my doll in my pack. And we had to walk through this trail, and there was this bear, and I swear that bear's butt was so huge. It was a humongous bear. I had never seen a bear that large before. And then we were walking down the trail, and it had pooped blueberries or blackberries, I guess you would say.
yeah.
But I remember, these are things I remember as a 5-year-old. And we were going, and we were staying at this shelter, which is basically 3 sides rock, and the front is a chain link fence. Well, Mother, my aunt, and I are out walking down the road or the trail, and we see a bear. And we were pretty far back, and Mother said, "Smile, Mr. Bear," and was snapping a picture. And about that point, the bear started running toward us. I'm 5, I'm a little bitty tiny kid. So my mother grabs me up, and my aunt's running beside us, and we run into the shelter, and we lock my dad out of the shelter. And Daddy has to climb up on the roof to get away from the bear because the bear starts chasing him.
Yeah. They were almost on there, but that's gone back to the spin a whirl. Man, oh man, they just don't want to come back. I was going to say I had an encounter in my backyard over here at that house I lived in Westover out there. Oh, here they come again. Let's see.
Look, now that you say that, when I was a kid, we had the rabbits, and they were in the very, very back of the yard. And my parents have quite a few acres over in Westover. And I was walking. I would go back there. I always felt like I was being watched. I always felt like I was being watched.
Well, I'll tell you, this was probably 4 or 5 years ago when I was sitting. Well, I was doing something in my backyard there at that house. Y'all been there before at that Westover house. And I can't remember what I was doing, some kind of work in the backyard. It was getting dark, and I had a floodlight that I would cut on. But I didn't have it on that afternoon. So it got dark before I knew it. I think I was on the phone with somebody walking around the backyard, and it got real dark. And I said, I need to get inside. And all of a sudden I'm hearing like large footsteps in the woods there, right there at the edge of my backyard. And of course, dry leaves rustling. So I'm thinking, some kind of animal. Of course, my first instinct, my first thought is it's a bear. Oh boy, here we go. I'm going to get mauled alive out here in my own backyard. And my stupid self, if I just cut the floodlight on, that thing would shine out the whole, backyard.
Well, why are you stupid?
I don't know.
I'm not there to argue with you.
The thing, whatever it was, stops at the edge of the backyard, and it's. I feel like I'm being stared at, and I'm looking in the direction I heard it stop, and all of a sudden I hear this heavy breathing, like, and it's coming from like way up, like whatever it is tall. I'm saying like 8 feet above, and it's probably no more than 10 or 15 feet away from me. And it's pitch black. I can't see it. And I'm just frozen in place. So I start slowly backing up toward the back patio where the back door is, just slowly. I think I think to myself, if I just stay calm, don't panic, I'm sure whatever it is going to leave me alone. Maybe it's as alerted by me as I am of it. And I just kept hearing it making that whoo, noise, you know. And it's kind of, like I say, it's coming from way. This thing had to be up there. And so I back all the way up to the back door, and I scramble in the back door, and I turn the floodlight on just in time to see some branches moving out there like something had taken off. And I look down, there's a big bay window there in the kitchen dining area right next to the back door. And my cat is perched up in the windowsill looking out there in the same direction, you know, eyes wide. So I wonder, you know, I said, I don't think that was a bear. A bear don't make noises like that. And I don't, a few people have said, well, maybe it was a deer. Deer make noises like that. Okay, well, sure, if it was at regular level, even a buck could be a bit tall, but way up here, like 8 feet tall, I don't think that was a deer. So I wonder, was that a Bigfoot? I don't know. I could not see it. And Catherine Marie took off when I was starting my story.
She's got to take care of something.
Oh, okay. But I was going to see, did she?
This is yeah, it is very, very interesting. What's taking place, because we went out. Let's see who it is. There you go, Carolyn Wells. We're talking. You see this black with a circle in it. We were talking to a couple out of Louisville, Kentucky, with some interesting stories, and right as they told this one very interesting story, this really it's strange happenings tonight for sure. I don't have any answers. I don't know how to explain this.
I thought maybe you were calling him on the phone or something when you stepped away. Well,
they just said they're trying, and I'm telling them that it's just very strange, to say the least, because
it is. There was nothing wrong with their connection.
For a little over an hour with absolutely no interruptions, then they tell that one story, and this happens, and it fits right in with the story they told. You bet it'll be Carolyn. It'll be a live stream to be archived on YouTube here. So please go back and watch it. And thank you for coming. Yeah, abandoned building. And what happened to them was just strange. And I'm messaging them. And there's a part 2 to the story. And this is, geez.
Yeah, I done forgot with my short-term memory. I done forgot where they left off now. All this action going on with the Wheel of Death. And they were about to get into it, and bang, there went the connection.
Yeah, they said there's a part 2 to the story, and I said, we want to hear it. And we do. I do. I'm sure y'all do too. Sorry about this, guys. Sorry about this, guys.
A lot of people watching.
The reality is they were telling a story. You can go back and listen to the first half of the show that we're talking about their experiences, their Bigfoot hunting, and then they're trying again. I know because the screen's white. I'm gonna wait. Oh, there we go. Maybe. Oh, there she is. Celeste, welcome.
We're back in this dimension.
Well, it's strange. Okay. I mean, this is y'all for a little over an hour. There absolutely no issue, and then all of a sudden, when you told that story, it was like, "Screw you guys! You're not going to finish."
That's right.
And now Don has vanished. Are you sure he's there?
Don is here.
Okay.
Here I am.
Well, I don't know, because all this going on and the story you told, you vanished before. I didn't know if it happened again.
Don who?
Okay. Oh, me. All right. I better be good. I don't want to get in trouble here. Look at this.
No. What'd you do over there? Did you press a button?
I'm not touching anything. This the story, they had gone, their son wanted to go to an abandoned building, and they picked one out and went with him to an abandoned building. Don had just had surgery. He didn't want to go in there. They're trying to come back. We'll see if we can get them back. And they watch, it's going to be that black circle.
Yes.
Let's try it again.
Here they come.
Oh,
You see us?
yeah. We see. I've got a song for you real quick.
I was doing that to him. I was like, do 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 do.
All right, before y'all disappear again, tell part 2.
Okay, so we ended up going back to the building, and we went down around the back. I saw an entry where all the loan graffiti was. I saw an entry into the basement. So we parked the car.
Oh my God. This is wild.
Gotta have Rod Sterling come up and talk to us.
Okay, so if anybody has followed this show since 2019, you'll know that on more than one occasion we have had some strange paranormal events happen on this show. There's a video on this channel and also on Kevin's channel. During the middle of this show, 2 dolls that we gave to Kevin right before the show, he sat in front of us at the other side of the conference table. Okay. And during the show, these 2 dolls came alive, and we've got that on video live. And then there was another time in the building over there on Highway 47 in Columbiana. What else happened? You and Frank had some experience over there, didn't you?
Over at where? I was looking
The building. The building.
Oh, during the show, and then we saw that shadow go by right outside the curtain.
Yeah. So you never know what's going to happen on this show, but Don and Celeste, they might be Bigfoot hunters, but I think something's attached to them. Must be from that abandoned building, I assume.
It's a Bigfoot ghost. That's what it is.
Oh, I don't know. It's an interdimensional something. I don't know exactly what to think of that, but that is wow.
Yes, it is.
That is wow. Oh, they come back. They come back.
They back and forth, back and forth.
All right, y'all. Let's get all in harmony now. Come back to us. Oh my God! Let's pull them up here and see if that circle will disappear, and they will appear magically in the black screen, and we can hear part 2 of this portal rift, whatever story. Gosh, we only got part of it.
Okay, Team Pinky.
Well, I say
lucky.
Yeah, I think you say we're all unlucky right now with this.
Yeah.
Oh man. So they're still in the spiral of darkness there.
The spiral of darkness.
The circle is just going around and around, and we cannot hear them or we cannot see them. Nothing. Nothing happening.
I mean, we're gonna have 100 names for that circle by the time it's over.
Oh,
pain in the ass circle.
Well, we've lost connections before, but never like this. And clearly, they're trying again, folks. They really want to tell this story. They're trying again right now. Should I bring them on and we'll wait till I see their picture? What should I do?
Wait till I see the picture, because every time it looks like a white happy box, and you pull it up and it's that stinking wheel.
They are on. I know you guys can't see it, but we see that they are on, but they have no picture. Or background, and so we're going to wait before I click them onto the screen here.
Yeah.
But I don't know what kind of thing they got going on in their lives, but this is
You did say he had a ghost follow them home from the cemetery
I
once.
don't know if maybe he didn't truly get rid of that ghost and he thought he did.
Maybe she's still there playing around.
Uh-huh. Well, like I said, the synchronicity or whatever you want to call it,
Yeah.
it is strange that this. Oh, what a sight! Okay, it's like Celeste.
I
you
hit
really
my head
changed
today, guys. I have a big goose egg right here.
She hit her
Uh-oh.
head.
So I went and
So
took a shower to see if that would help me feel better.
They
I was-
have been. They've been here and left, and been here and kind of been here, and here we go again. Let's see what happens. Y'all hang on, folks. The team Peak has
Entered the building.
entered the building, but they've got no picture up yet.
At least they're
We
somewhat
know
here.
you're here if you hear us, but you're not there. You're kind of here. It's an interdimensional thing because you're here, but you're not here. We can't see you totally. We can kind of see that you're here. Carolyn commented, "This is awesome." Thank you, Carolyn. So glad that you are with us here tonight. And she found us through my wishing machine stuff. This is really interesting. Interesting turn of events, and I don't know how long we're going to. They're trying to come on, but they're not quite. I'm going to bring it up. That's what we got right there, folks. And then they're gone. Boom.
Oh, there we go. Catherine, I told my Bigfoot encounter in my backyard. Have you heard of any other Bigfoot sightings in Westover?
No, I've never heard of Bigfoot sightings in Westover, but I know the white thing's there. I've seen the white thing.
Maybe that's what I heard back there huffing and puffing in my woods behind my house.
We had a
It was
trampoline.
called-
We live on the creek, or we lived on the creek right there in Westover, and so that side was safe, but the back side was not, and the front side was street, and the other side was neighbors. And when we saw the bear on the back part of the property at one point in time. There was a bear. They let years ago back in the 80s let out black bears in the Oak Mountain area. And when I migrated, and actually somebody killed a bear a few years back, which makes me angry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, don't hurt the wildlife.
Yeah.
Just hurt humans, not the wildlife.
That's right.
Well, I am sorry, folks. We had no control over what's taking place tonight. I don't know if they're giving up or what they're doing over there, but we want to have them back on to get the rest of the story. They've had a lot of stories. I hope you guys that just joined us later in the show will go back and watch the archived versions, and you can see the cliffhanger. So we'll have to go back.
We're trying again.
Hopefully, they're coming back. Maybe they'll do it. We still got 20 minutes.
I'm gonna look and see if their voice actually comes on.
Oh, wait a minute. Who put that on? Did I do
I
that?
did.
You did?
I did that. It's still the turning wheel of death.
Yes.
Sometimes we can hear them, but
Try to talk, guys. If you can hear us. No, they muted themselves. Somebody got muted. Wow. Weird, strange world that we're in. The universe has many fascinating things for us tonight. Unexpected things.
I also had what we think was a Bigfoot encounter at Tandy Hill State Park when we were near that, I don't know what you call that thing, the big rock ironworks structure there.
Kevin, I hate to burst your bubble, but that was a Catherine in her Bigfoot suit.
No, that wasn't.
Well, we have a little boy in Westover that searches for Bigfoot in Westover.
He's got the little gear and everything. He plays around the neighborhood.
Well, our Tandy Hill
We're gonna have
encounter, it was on the
I'm sorry,
path from that ironwork structure. There's a path that goes through the woods. There's a hill going up next to it, but I can't remember if it was the cemetery or the old cabins for the servants are down that path. And me and my sister made it halfway down there.
It's my sister and I, not me and my sister.
My sister and I were halfway down the path.
Thank you very much.
When something up that hill, this trees are just clustered, so you can't see. Something growled and
You
started.
should talk that way because he smokes a freaking cigar and drinks a lot of whiskey.
He just keeps interrupting my story. But whatever it was up on that hill started growling and throwing rocks at us. So we booked it back out of there. And I don't know if that was Bigfoot. I've heard Bigfoot likes to throw rocks.
Yeah, well, that was when Kevin, that happened. He left Hannah Hill and he was going around crying about Christian persecution.
Well, now where does that come from? Christian person. I've never whined about that.
Okay, I'm just picking.
Mr.
Team Peak has, what are you guys doing to us over there, people? I don't know what kind of portal that y'all got caught up in a week ago, wherever you were in that abandoned building, but I think you're all caught up in it now. It's
Emma
like,
says they have a ghost attachment.
I think that it's more than just an attachment. I think they're interfering with everything. I think
Of course, Playful Rain's laughing at your little shiny chrome dome humor over there. God. Tell the series
they're still trying. They're still trying.
With his whatever
We're
that
called
was.
interdimensional area. We're called an I can't even say it now, Kevin. Interdimensional area.
There they are again.
Are they back again?
You know what? Maybe they're in Twin Peaks. You know, there's all kinds of strange stuff going on in Twin Peaks.
Twin Peaks. So what happened to them was really, really weird, to say the least. And they did some videos on it. Let me share one of these videos here. We can do that, and we can. Are they back?
I wonder if there's going to be any videos.
Hold on. Let's do this. Since we can't get them that way, let's get them this way.
Okay.
Share the screen. And go over here. And no, I don't want Twilight Zone. It's on Facebook.
You are the Twilight Zone.
I am the Twilight Zone. Where? Let me find them. Like YouTube.
Some of them Kelsey cooties got into the Team Pigs computer and messed them up.
Somebody's phone thing is ringing.
I think that's Catherine.
Where is this?
Maybe we'll just do interpretive dance.
Okay.
And show it that
Oh, here
way.
we go. I found it.
Finally.
There we go. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay, folks, we are near this old cemetery. It looks like it's been taken very good care of. Supposed to be an apparition of a fellow here, but we haven't seen anything yet. But anyway, we are just we're just doing what Celeste and I do, just hanging out and doing some wild stuff. But just last night, we'll cover that later. About the Bigfoot.
That'll be another video.
Yeah, that'll be another video. Our campsite. So I'm here with Celeste and her son. And we had some crazy stuff last night, sure.
And today.
And today. And the day is young yet.
Yeah, it's still early.
Okay.
I'm just gonna walk around the structure, give you an idea. One of the headstones says 1866, but as you can see, there's like bolts in there. But I'm not wearing snake boots right now, and we weren't actually planning on doing this. We were going for an ice run, and I got the right idea. Kind of regret it now after what just happened at an abandoned structure. I'm still a little shaken up. But the investigation continues. I don't normally like doing paranormal. I don't like it at all. I just stick with Bigfoot's living and breathing, but sometimes it finds you. Okay. So apparently this is a family burial site. This is never a dull moment with Don Peak. He's over there making sure I come back around. Huh? All right. Not sure what this jelly-looking thing is here on the ground. You never know what you're going to find. All right, people, stay safe out there. And
Okay, so they've got, I'm trying to find the video. I don't know if they actually got a video of that or not, but where was that story? Okay, here we go. Let's get here.
Teen Peak. Exploring an area, and we just had something, I don't know what you want to call it. Dimensional rift, I don't know. But my son is with us, and we were exploring the place. Don was waiting for us. We came out of the place. Don was nowhere to be seen. We walked around the outside of the place, never found him, hollering his name. I called him on the phone. I even hit the car fob to see if I could get his attention. Nowhere to be found. My son and I kept looking, hollering for him.
They were inside an abandoned structure. Okay, I didn't go in because of my abdominal surgery. But anyway, I was standing out there by our vehicle and waiting for them. Well, anyway, about 8, 9, 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was waiting for them, and anyway, they were already out, and they was, I don't know, about 30 or 40 yards from me, and they said that they had come up to the vehicle, and I wasn't there. Well, I was there the whole time, and I didn't see them. I didn't see them at all, and so we don't know what the hell's going on, to tell you the truth. But I tell you one thing, we're not going to wound up in a 411 thing. So what we're going to do is we're not going to separate anymore. So it's just the way it is. And man, it's just the weirdest. Is this one of the weirdest things ever happened to us?
It's definitely.
Yeah. I mean, it just, yeah. I mean, she never. I mean, I didn't see him come out.
I'm still a little shaken up about it.
They didn't see me. And I didn't hear anybody calling me. And it's just, I don't know, man. It's very, very, very weird. We've been going to some crazy, weird places. So, I don't know. But we're coming back because we haven't learned our lesson yet. So we're coming back to see if we can find out anything. We're not going to separate. So if anybody disappears, it's going to go
back. But they want to come back. And we're not separating.
So that's the way it is.
All right. Y'all stay safe out there. Let this be a lesson to you.
Don't separate.
Don't have a point of separation.
Yeah.
All right, folks. There, that was part of the story that they had shared, and there was a part 2 of it. And as you see from the screen there, they're back in that.
Yep, there she is.
Oh, hey.
Oh, wait a minute.
Hello.
Okay, all right.
All right, Camper. She was like 20 or.
I don't know what that was. Sorry. But anyway, there you go. That's what we've had to deal with in the last half of this show, and they really have been trying diligently to get back on with us. And this is where they've been caught in the loop. There were 2 or 3 times that were there for a moment, but not long. And it all happened when they were telling that story that we just shared with you. Unfortunately, what I propose to do is to have them back. We'll try again next Tuesday night and see if we can get the rest of the story, because I'm interested in the rest of the story too. I assume you guys are as well, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen tonight. We're down to about 10 more minutes left in this show. Catherine got bored and left. So did a bunch of other people. We're down to one up here on the screen. But Team Peak diligently keeps trying to come back on. They're not giving up to the last second. They are really, really trying to join us here.
I didn't get bored and left.
Kevin, turn on your mic. You're muted. You're muted. Kevin, you're muted.
There. Okay, there. Now.
There you go.
Ah.
Them poor guys, they're still trying to get on with us.
Yeah, 8:50. I was saying 8:59. They'll still be trying to get on.
They're not giving up at all. Guys, if you can hear me, and I'll send them a message, we'll be glad to do this a repeat session next Tuesday night so we can the rest of the story. Don't know what's going on tonight. It is on their end because we're not having any issue between us, are we? And Kevin is way over in Neverland, the other side of Shelby County. So anyway, we're all on different connections and whatnot. Unfortunately, Team Peak has run into some paranormal activity that started sometime a week or so ago and is still following them all the way to Abnormal, Alabama.
Yeah. Yeah, Kentucky's got some crazy ghosts up there.
So what do you think, Kevin? We'll start with Catherine. You heard the story. Well, how would you describe what happened to them? What would you think would be happening? What happened there?
Asking me or Catherine?
Catherine first.
Oh, okay.
Okay, you're asking me what happened to. Can you repeat that, please?
The story they just told, is that interdimensional? What's this missing thing? I mean, how would you theorize what happened to him?
The way I describe it is we're on one wavelength. There's another wavelength here, and they bounce together and they bounce apart.
Okay. They have finally, by the way, I'm communicating with them here, that they are finally giving up and said we can, they have no idea what happened. We're going to try again later. And I said, try next week, same time. And they're sending me a message now. So we'll confirm. I told them I really want to hear the rest of the story.
Yes.
Leave us on a cliffhanger.
I'm sorry?
They're leaving us on a cliffhanger.
They said if we're in the same dimension.
I think it's there.
I had something interesting happen this week, Kevin. Caroline, I pulled her out because I hadn't seen her in a while, and I put the video camera on her for a minute, or my phone, and she's on TikTok, and I believe I caught her moving.
Yeah, I saw the arm thing moving.
I shared that. He's all right.
I thought maybe her, look, kind of almost like her whole body was trying to move. I definitely saw the arm move.
Well, that left hand especially, I saw it down there, yeah.
I don't know if she was trying to boogie woogie with music or.
No, she added that music later.
I know the Sweet Caroline was added on, but I wondered if there was what was going on at the time. Was she boogieing to something?
Was the TV on or anything, Catherine?
I couldn't hear you, Kelsey.
Was the TV on?
No, the TV was not on.
When Caroline was moving.
I just opened her up. She's been in the box for quite a while since we left the office, and I was like, she's probably
update real quick. They're going to be with us next week. We're going to finish this up next week. Just had a lengthy communication with them. So spread the word. The rest of the story next week, 7:00, right here, same time.
Well, that Wheel of Death is not invited. So
Well, we're going to have a internet cleansing.
I was going to say, I'll burn some sage.
All right. So go ahead with your story. I'm sorry. I just wanted to update real quick.
Anyway, I took Caroline out of her box, fixed her hair and her dress and everything because she was a little yucky looking because she'd been stuffed in this box for so long. And I opened her up and fluffed her up and got her all pretty again. And I'm going to put her back on the internet here soon. So you can watch her live 24/7.
Live from Caroline. It's creepy, Abnormal, Alabama. I had Shirley sitting here. I've just left her on my desk because I like her sitting here while I'm working. So
she's so pretty.
She's just staying right here. I guess now I need to get me a Bigfoot doll and put it somewhere now.
Oh, do you remember the Annabelle doll, the Raggedy Ann doll that we have in a case?
Yeah.
I did a spirit box on her the other night, and I got don't touch.
Ooh, don't touch.
Don't touch. I've got it on film. It's on my TikTok account, which is Abnormal Alabama Catherine. For right now, I'm gonna change the name.
What about that painting you were gonna do a spirit box on?
I was having phone difficulties.
Oh.
One of my phones was acting up, and I could not get either one of them to record anything. But I've got it sitting over here in the living room, looking at me right now.
Oh.
And I plan on getting it out. Kevin feels something big on it, but it's a picture of a little girl holding a doll.
Yeah, as soon as I looked at it, I thought there was somebody looking back at me there, not just the painting itself, but somebody's with it.
Somebody
I thought they
with
were kind of pleasant. I mean, I didn't think it was anything negative.
Well, I was leaning over today, and I didn't realize I've been calling her Claire Bell, but on her case it actually says Ashley Bell. The Raggedy Ann case. But I've been calling her Claire Bell. But I guess her name is actually Ashley Bell. I was leaning over her case to pick something up, and I just, oh God, I hit my head on the edge of the fireplace. It made me in a bad mood all day.
There's that ghost down there.
Well, it's been an interesting night, folks, here at Abnormal, Alabama. We had interesting stories and a very interesting last hour of the show. And the Don and Celeste, the Teen Peak Bigfoot hunters, and now, whether they like it or not, they're wrapped up in the world of the paranormal. And if you go back, if you didn't catch their story of what happened just actually a few days ago, according to my calculations, or maybe a couple of weeks ago, a week or so ago. The 12th is when it was posted, and it was around the date of the 12th, and they had a very interesting experience. And then, as soon as they told the first half of the story, they went into another dimension.
Yeah.
Never were able to recover from that dimension. So you will have to come back next week at 7 p.m. right here, the same place we stream, YouTube, all over Facebook. Kevin is very good about spreading this all over the crappy place.
Yeah.
And Kevin, you got any trips coming up? Any interesting things happening in your world?
No, not here lately. No, probably next year, but nothing for the rest of this year.
I start to say you spent a lot of money this year, so.
Yeah.
Did you get your pictures recovered?
Nothing. No, the hotel never did find anything.
Yeah.
Joe Bob and Darcy are going to send me another one, but that may be weeks and weeks from now because they're on the road. So
which ones did you lose that you don't think you'll recover?
Well, the Halloween 3 stars, I've already got theirs anyway. The reason I got it this time was I was able to get it on one picture, just to have. But those are autographs I've already got in my collection, so I don't have to go chase them down. But the only one is that Honey the Mail Girl. And I saw you liked my comment to her. She doesn't have a way to buy one from her or get one from her directly unless you see her at the convention. So
I got you. Playful Rain, they are joining us again next week for part 2. So make sure you're there early because they're going to tell the rest of that story. And again, share this with people so they can get the first half of the story and be ready to come in next week for the second half, part 2.
yes.
Abnormal Alabama. Don't forget, Kevin's got a bunch of books out there. I've got one book that I promote. It's called Dating the Dead. You can learn about it at datingthedead.com. I also build wishing machines. So if you're not familiar with that, then you need to go to thewishdr.com. And that is a wishing machine right there. We had one of my wishing machine people that found me and joined us for the show a little bit tonight. So join us next week. It is, we got 1 minute. Anything y'all want to say?
TikTok.
Be sure to follow me on Abnormal Alabama Catherine on TikTok.
She is the magnet fishing lady. We were going to do that today, got tied up and didn't make it. So we're going to get back into that. Got to be out of town for the weekend for a wedding up in Huntsville, Alabama. So a lot of things going on, but we're not going to give up on the Tuesday night show. That's for sure.
Yep.
So everybody have a wonderful, pleasant evening to the best of your ability. Stay out of the portals. Do not get caught up in the vortex. And then we may see you right here in 1 freaking week. Say good night.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.